Joel, we have enough? Okay. I'd like to call the House Transportation Subcommittee to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representatives Boyd, Grills, here. Hall, here. Hicks, here. Howell, here. Potts, Russell, here. Towns, Whitson.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any personal orders this morning? Representative Russell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just something pretty quick. I know that a lot of people in the Cordell building and on the internet are sort of curious. Are you having a formal autograph ceremony for this magazine, or is this something informally we can get your signature on?
Okay. Thank you. Last year or 2 years ago, it was Chairman Howell. He's a tough act to follow. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to recognize that today is National Ag Day. So I would like to encourage everybody to go hug a farmer, buy their supper, and if you can't find one, I know where one is.
Thank you. Good point. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, so we're going to take Representative Helton out of order. She's number 3 on our agenda today. Representative Helton, you're recognized. We have a motion and a second, and let's see here. We do not have an amendment, so I don't show one. So. Representative, can you turn on your mic, please? There you go. Okay, well, yeah, we can now. Okay.
A record of that discharge is simultaneously sent to the Department of Revenue as well as to the registrant. Presently, the lien holder is only required to send a record of discharge to the registrant. State records continue to show a lien on the vehicle despite the lien having been paid off. The absence of the discharge in the state record prohibits the clerk's ability to serve frustrated registrants who have lost or misplaced their title, document, and the discharge. If a record of discharge is sent by the lien holder company to the state at the same time that it's sent to the registrant, this will help to alleviate any confusion by notifying the Department of Revenue that the lien has been paid off.
And I understand this helps our county clerks greatly in the discharge of their duties.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does.
Do we have any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're now going to vote on House Bill 331. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moves on to full transportation, Representative. Glad to. Okay, up next. Oh, okay. So I thought it was just me not wearing my hearing aids there. Okay, next up we have Representative Gant on House Bill 532. Representative Gant, you are recognized. Motion. We have a motion and a second. You just speak loud, and I think we'll be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder if they can use the
excuse me, you may want to use the chair with the try those down there and see if they're better, Ron. And you can be more comfortable, too.
Okay, what about that? Is that
much better? Thank you.
Good. Now I know what it feels like to testify before you guys. Thank you, Chairman and Committee. If you don't mind, I want to read some things into the record due to the nature of what we're doing here with this bill today. House Bill 532, generally under present law, the primary responsibility for enforcing traffic laws within the limits of a municipality is on the municipality. However, under present law, a municipality having a population of 10,000 or less with at least 2 entrance ramps, and at least 2 exit ramps from an interstate highway is not authorized to enforce traffic laws when the contiguous stretch of the interstate highway between such entrance and exit ramps does not lie solely within the territorial limits of that municipality. This bill revises this provision to remove the requirement that the referenced area be solely within the territorial limits of the municipality in order for the municipality to be authorized to enforce the traffic laws of this state as described above. And the stretch of highway that we are referring to is approximately 4.2 miles of I-269 that is located in the city limits of Piperton. And to drill down into that, there is 0.4 miles from the Mississippi state line to the Collierville line, and is also tagged with a 70 mile per hour speed limit. There's a section that's 3 miles in length of I-269 and Highway 385 interchange to the Collierville line just south of the Wolf River, which is 65 miles per hour speed zone. There is a section that is 0.8 miles from Shelby County to Piperton city limit under Raleigh-LaGrange section that is 65 miles per hour. And the Tennessee Highway Patrol does a great job, as we all know, here in the state of Tennessee, but there are too few troopers to effectively cover the vast amount of highways and the interstate in our area. An increased number of crashes will strain our fire department to provide service to the interstate and our residents. This will also result in a dramatic increase in operating cost for fire department without a means to recover those expenditures. Also, the exposures of personnel responding to incidents greatly increase the dangers we face in an already high hazard occupation. This was brought to my attention from several residents there in the city of Piperton. My office has received several emails in regards to this section of highway, and I'll just try to make a few points as to why this is being brought to my attention, to bring it to your attention to try to pass this section of highway where the city of Piperton can actually patrol. And I know some of you have questions. We've talked, and we'll try to answer those as we go forward. But this section of highway used to be a state highway, 385, which is called the Winfield-Dunn Parkway. This area is also a bedroom community. You have Collierville, city limits of Collierville to the west, city of Piperton limits to the east. And this interstate, which 385 is now a interstate highway, which is tagged as I-269, this 4.2 mile stretch that comes through the city limits of Piperton. Collierville to the west already patrols their section of this interchange, or this, I-269 and 385 as it goes back toward Memphis. There's a concern with drug trafficking, sex trafficking, with this interstate system. And the citizens and the police department feel that it is imperative that they're able to patrol this area. So, as their representative, I'm bringing this to you guys to authorize them to be able to patrol this area. And we can get into some more discussion with some concerns that you guys may have with this, but that is the opening statement, so to speak, Mr. Chairman, that kind of gives you a gist of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Well, thank you for that explanation. And do we have any questions or comments from the committee? Chairman Howell, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just a couple of questions to the sponsor. Does the THP patrol this area?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir, they do, yes.
And, well, I should have made that a two-part question. What about the county sheriff's department? Do their deputies patrol this area as well?
That is correct, yes, sir.
I guess my concern, and I'm going to vote for the bill because I try to help rural Tennessee as much as possible, but I guess my concern would be the potential of setting up a speed trap. brought to mind just recently, I was in East Tennessee, and a passenger with me, I was driving through a small town, and was warned by my passenger that you need to slow down right here because the speed limit changes drastically. It was a state highway, and said you're going into what the community there considered a speed trap. I wouldn't want to get into a situation where we're creating that in this bill. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll vote yes, but I'll reserve judgment until we see what happens in a couple of years.
Right. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, and that's one thing when we encounter these type, we just want assurance that it does not evolve into a speed trap, for lack of a better word, for a revenue stream for the community. And so we will relook that in the future.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I also want to read into the record, the chief there in Piperton sent this to me as well, and it actually gives some facts that I think it's important to put into the record. From 2014 through 2017, the Piperton Police Department responded to 41 motor vehicle crashes on the stretch of Highway 385 running through their jurisdiction. In addition to the 41, the Tennessee Highway Patrol responded to and worked 2 crashes within the city of Piperton jurisdiction, one of which ended in a fatality. And that's why I'm sitting here before you today. We obviously, none of us want any fatalities. Our job is to protect our constituents in the best way we see fit. And that's the reason why I'm sitting here before you today. And to answer Representative Chairman Howell's point about a speed trap, that is obviously a concern that has been in the past. When I presented this bill 3 years ago, and you have my word, and the citizens of Piperton know this, that if this becomes a problem, and it's not about safety, and it's about something else, this will be, and I know, Chairman, you join me in that it will be brought back before you for more discussion. So thank you.
I'd like to go on record, your word is always good with me because we came in together and we've served together, and it is an honor to serve
And I'm
with you.
proud of you, too. Look at you, Chairman, up here.
We have Representative Russell up next, has a question.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, sponsor. I, too, share the concerns of a speed trap, but however, with the fatality numbers, I'll be voting for this bill also. I do have 2 questions. Would the city police department have to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Safety before they enforce laws?
To my knowledge, that is not the understanding at this point. We've discussed that, and I've been told that there's not. But I don't have anything specific on that. And if that changes, I'll make sure that I bring that back to your attention.
Thank you. And the second one is does the city's insurance cover these officers out there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one of the major disqualifiers for this city that you're discussing is the population of 10,000. What is the 10,000, the population of 10,000, how does it play into this?
Well, that's
generally speaking, with the whole law.
That's how it's determined that this zeroes down to the actual city of Piperton and not another municipality. That's the way this is worded, to exclude any other city. It's my definition. Legal can jump in there, but the definition, the way it's written for that reason, is that it definitively defines the city of Piperton in this legislation and not another population.
So we can't have any unintended consequences that may affect the other part of the state with this legislation then?
That is the intent of this legislation, that it is to not affect any other municipalities.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. We're now voting on House Bill 532 by Representative Gant. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Bill moves on to full transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Up next, we have House Bill 476 by Chairman White. Chairman White, you are recognized, sir.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion and a second. Yes, please.
How's that?
That's better.
There
And
we go.
also, we have I understand we have an amendment on the bill. Let's get that all in proper order here. I have, what amendment number are you showing? sir?
5461?
That's what I show. Do we have a motion and a second on the amendment? Motion. Okay, all in favor of placing amendment 5461 on the bill, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion, amendment goes on the bill. Chairman White.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, this is a bill that I'd like for y'all to strongly consider. It will bring it to you on behalf of our law enforcement. It's permits the use of, I'm going to call them intelligent transportation system cameras, AKA surveillance, however you want to put the word to it, to allow us to put these on our federal interstates, highways, which right now, these are not traffic enforcement cameras at all, no speed traps, no traffic tickets on that. It just allows our law enforcement in criminal investigations, and I can give you some, and it's also done in cooperation with Tennessee Department of Transportation, worked it with them. But what reason we need this desperately, especially on interstates, and I would like at a moment to go out of session. I got TBI Jimmy Music here to testify, to give you some reasons, things that they're facing. But like I'm from city of Memphis, Shelby County, and we have drag racing going on our 40. We've had over 30 people shoot from their cars and shooting at other people. We had an incident not too long ago, right in the middle of East Memphis, 240 in Walnut Grove, if you're familiar with Memphis at all, where they actually stopped traffic and were doing donuts in the middle of the street. It just completely insane. And I'm going to let Mr. Music talk about the 440 incident, or how these could aid in that. Also, will help our Amber Alerts. A lot of times, like if a child's kidnapped or anything, they say, well, we think they were heading east. If they could jump on this, and these are license plate reader cameras, by the way, and they can then track these people, well, they got off right out here at Mount Juliet, or they're on the way towards Knoxville. And it just aids them in their law enforcement. And so it's something that we desperately need, but we're just not allowed right now to install them on our federal interstate highways, and this bill would allow us to do so to help our law enforcement.
Thank you, Chairman White. Before we go out of session, I think we have a few members that like to ask a question. Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman White, did we hear this bill last year? It seems like I remember seeing this on the floor, but I don't know. It may be different, and you're smiling, so is it?
Yeah, it was on the floor. For those of you here last year, yeah, we had quite a little debate on that. And one of our members, God bless him, he's no longer here, but he has some issues with it. I understand that, but this is something that we're desperately help our law enforcement. Yes, I brought this to the floor last year. And our law enforcement brought it back to me this year, says, we desperately need this. Would you carry it again?
Thank you, Chairman. Any other comments before we go out of session? Without objection, we're going out of session to hear a testimony.
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, I'm not Jimmy Music. He's much brighter than I
I was
am.
going to say, Director, if you'll state your name and position for the record, please, for
Yes,
your
sir.
testimony, and 3 minutes, please.
Sir, I'm David Roush. I'm the Director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I want to thank the Chairman for bringing this forward to you. And I do want to address a couple of things. One is that over the past year, while it was debated last year, over the past year, we've seen some great examples of how this technology, which is simply a crime-fighting tool and a crime prevention tool, could have been utilized to assist us in investigative efforts in our state. So for some of the perfect examples, the Nashville bombing, had we had LPR on the interstate, we would have been quickly able to identify the vehicle and the owner a whole lot faster than it took us to identify that individual. The shooting on the interstate of Caitlin Kaufman, the nurse, another perfect example of where we could have immediately had information to identify who was involved in that rather than waiting for an investigative effort that took days. Those are two perfect examples of how this tool would help us. We had most recently 2 escapees from West Tennessee that ended up carjacking 2 individuals, breaking into one home and stealing his vehicle. They were smart enough, after the first one, we were able to track them to the second location using technology on other devices. But the criminal element is getting so smart and savvy, they know to toss devices so that we can't find them. And this technology actually, what helped us was the fixed LPRs in Florida, where we were able to track them and find them because of fixed LPRs on the interstate system. And so that's why we need them. We need them on the interstate and state routes because those are the main routes that individuals will travel that have committed criminal activity. Additionally, it will assist us in Amber Alerts, endangered children, as well as endangered seniors when they go missing. It will help us be able to find them and track them a whole lot quicker. So on the concerns of us using them any other way, obviously we are, the laws restrict our use of information. These aren't, as was explained by the chairman, these aren't to be used for traffic enforcement. These are for crime fighting, solely for crime fighting. And that's the purpose of them. And so that's the plea that I'll make with you and to express our support for this effort. It will give us the technology tool that is sorely needed for us to be able to do our investigations in a much more efficient and effective manner. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the director? Director, I did some reading. I understand as homicides go up, the ability to solve them has gone down, and this will help in that regard because a lot of it is stranger on stranger murders. Is that correct?
That's accurate, Mr. Chairman. It would give us, again, it gives us another tool to help us to try to identify and locate. That's all we're seeking is an additional tool. Just because a car is identified doesn't mean that the person is going to be arrested. What it does is it gives us a location and somewhere to specifically focus our effort. And that's the advantage of this tool. It gives us the opportunity to not run in 1,000 directions, but in one focused direction.
And I understand also, I was given a statistic, in Memphis alone, there have been 30 interstate shootings just since the first of the year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And again, as was mentioned by the chairman, the challenges going on in Memphis right now on their interstate. And Memphis is a unique area where every interstate exit leads to a neighborhood, right? And so when these offenses are happening, that's the route that they're taking. And so again, this will give us the ability to identify, locate, and immediately address these issues.
Right. Any other? Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Rouse, for being here. Just to clarify, too, I think there may be some misunderstanding that these are going to be TDOT cameras. That's not correct.
Thank you, Chairman. No, these are not. These are cameras that jurisdictions will put up with an approval process through TDOT in order to get them into place. And so many jurisdictions already have them, and this is just to expand their programs to provide that further assistance for us in the locations that are most critical, and that's on our interstates and state routes.
Chairman Howell?
And not to be redundant, but I think it's important to emphasize this is for criminal investigation, not for privacy invasion or traffic control. That is important.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yes, obviously, the TBI does not do traffic, so our interest solely is in the investigative arena.
Chairman Boyd, you're recognized. And before you address the director, I just want to say I'm proud that we served together in the finest branch of the Army. And I just want to let you know, Chairman Boyd was an armor officer, so keep that in mind, please.
We don't hold that against the chairman at all.
Quick question, and I think we've addressed this. It's not going to be used for traffic citations, and as the chairman just mentioned, just to perpetually live under a state of surveillance. But you mentioned that these are already in place in some jurisdictions. I mean, are they in the big cities? Where are they at now?
They're throughout a number of areas. I know that I live in Mount Juliet. We have them in Mount Juliet. They're in Oak Ridge. They're in a number of cities right now. And literally talking to those chiefs and the sheriffs in those jurisdictions, they tout the advantage of crime fighting for them, specifically in criminal the element that comes into the city and the jurisdictions that are there to commit criminal offenses, right? They'll steal a car, they'll drive over to Mount Juliet or Oak Ridge from Knoxville, and they'll drive in and then break into homes and cars. These cameras are there where the fixed cameras are, where they identify those cars coming in, and law enforcement can immediately respond to address those before they can commit any further offenses.
Chairman? And Director, just one question. Just from my knowledge, the technology, can they read these license plates regardless of the weather or time of day or the speed of the vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the technology is so that they're able to read the plate with regardless of the lighting condition, the weather condition, et cetera.
And I would just like to add, with the murder of the young nurse going to work, minding her own business here recently in Nashville, and growing up here in Nashville, it was very disturbing to me. And I was thinking, how could we prevent this or solve these cases quicker? And it was just, to me, I think this is a great crime-fighting tool that does not intrude on this privacy of law-abiding citizens in this state. And I just want to tell you I fully support it. Do we have any other questions? Representative Lowell.
Thank you,
Russell,
Director.
sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner, or Chairman. Director, thank you for being here. Is there any projected percentage of how many crimes that you'll be able to solve on top of what's already been not solved, and how many missing persons that you're projected to find from this?
Yeah, so I don't have anything specific on numbers like that, Representative, but I can tell you, based on what we have seen, and based on what I'm hearing from these other communities, they have seen major decreases in their criminal activity. So looking at what for example, Mount Juliet, they've seen an over 80% decrease in their thefts in their city as a result solely of these cameras being put up throughout their community. And keep in mind that these cameras are set to observe only public areas where we're all allowed to move, right? So it's not an invasion of privacy in any way. These are areas where none of us have an expectation of privacy, where we move throughout the roadways. Our tag can always be seen by anyone in the public, up to and including law enforcement. And so it's not providing anything that isn't already in existence, other than it's giving us that 24-hour surveillance opportunity to identify and address those who are committing criminal offenses.
Yes.
This looks like a good tool for law enforcement. I'd be glad to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. So the process by which the camera tabulates who drives through, does it record every license plate, and then you go to a database and say, I'm looking for this? Just explain how that works.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Representative. So what it'll do is law enforcement will enter tags that we are looking for criminal activity, right? So if it's a stolen vehicle, it'll be entered into the system. And if that vehicle goes by that, it will set an alarm off, identifying that vehicle has hit that location, that camera. Additionally, for investigative purposes, if a crime occurs, then we can go and type in that tag number, and then it'll tell us where that tag has presented if it passed by one of these locations. Is that clear, or is it?
No, I understand.
Okay.
Yes.
But
Representative Grills.
obviously, I mean, I want to see every tool that law enforcement can have at their disposal, but at the same time balancing civil liberties and help and be on the side of the law enforcement. That's a hard spot that we're in up here. Last year, I did not vote for this bill, and my heart really hasn't changed as far as my ultimate, the fiber of me. But at the same time, I want to see you guys have every tool at your disposal to do everything you can to solve these crimes. But I don't want to sacrifice any liberty for a little security. So with that, I'll be against it, but I won't be a stink stirrer over it. I just basically on principle.
Thank you, Representative. I do want to tell you that the information that is gathered is not information that can be accessible by anyone but law enforcement for these purposes, for investigative purposes. So we aren't able to just access it to find out where you've been driving. That there are parameters put in place that control that. And so legal process has to happen in order for us to be able to access and utilize that information. And so it's not that the information is there and that it can be utilized any way that somebody wants to do it. It's solely for the purpose of the investigation.
So do you have to have a warrant before you can even go search that database?
It's not a warrant, but so we have to have a case.
Okay. Thank you for.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Grills. Any other questions for the director? Thank you, Director. We appreciate you and your team and what you do for our state.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks to the committee.
Back in session, Representative White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you will be here, so I appreciate that very much, you being here. But having said that, I don't think I can add anything to the Director's comments. I think it's a great tool for law enforcement, like say catching the person who killed the nurse on 440 and things a lot quicker than we were able to. Be a good tool for law enforcement. So I'd like to recommend passage.
Okay, without objection, we are now voting on House Bill 476 by Chairman White. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Moves on to full transportation. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director. Up next, we have the distinguished gentleman from Shelby County on House Bill 1352. Chairman Vaughn, you are recognized. Do we have a motion and a second? We have a motion and a second. And we have an amendment, sir.
Yes, sir, we do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's Amendment 4467.
Do we have a motion and a second on the amendment? Okay, without objection, we're voting on to put Amendment 4467 on the bill. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 4467 goes on the bill. Please explain your amendment and your bill, sir.
Yes, sir, and the amendment does make the bill. What I'd like to call this the Tennessee Automobile Dealers Equity and Fairness Act. What happens whenever automobile dealers across the nation have a warranty repair, the automobile manufacturers pay the dealers to repair the car and pay for the necessary parts to do so. In 46 states, they're allowed to charge the same price that a consumer coming in to have a normal repair for that part would be. In Tennessee and 4 other states, they are, due to our franchise and excise laws, they're not allowed to recoup all of the costs of that part. What this does is this brings us into line with the other states to where our automobile dealers are not punished or penalized financially for performing warranty work that's as a result of a problem from the manufacturer.
Thank you. With that explanation, do we have any questions for Chairman Vaughn? Seeing none, we are now, without objection, we are now voting on House Bill 1352. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moves on to full transportation.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Next up, we have House Bill 1418 from Chairman Hostclaw. Chairman Hostclaw, you're recognized, sir. We have a motion and a second. I see we have an amendment, sir. Let's get that on the bill.
That is correct. Thank you, Chairman and committee members. The amendment is 5386 is what I have.
That's what I have. Do we have a motion and a second on the amendment? We have a motion and a second amendment. All in favor of placing amendment number 5386 on House Bill 1418, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment goes on the bill. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you. Basically, all this bill does is it allows off-road vehicles to cross a state highway in between recreational areas, and it's like a three different access points where there's really no parking and stuff. So they're crossing the road, and it's contained within a 2-mile stretch.
Any questions? Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Holtzclaw, does this have anything to do with cell phones in any of these vehicles?
They cannot hold a cell phone when they're crossing the road.
I'm sorry. Good. Chairman Boyd, I'm sorry. Good. Okay, Chairman Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, thank you for rolling your bill and talking to safety. I know they had some concerns about it. I'm glad you got together and worked it out, and thank you for bringing the bill.
The department's good with this,
Yes.
so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And let me check first. Does safety want to speak on this bill? No, they are very good with it, apparently. So we have a question on the bill. Without objection, we are now voting on House Bill 1418. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moves on to full transportation. Thank you.
Good-looking committee. Thanks, guys.
And it gets better looking at next section. Next. Okay. Next, we have House Bill 544. Chairman Fires, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is an amendment on here, 4102.
Yes, I show 4102. Do we have a motion and second on the amendment? We have a motion and second amendment. All in favor of placing amendment 4102 on House Bill 544, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Amendment goes on the bill. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 747 allows a business that has been on an interstate logo board for 10 years or more and has been bumped to be rolled over to another board with a different title if there is a vacancy. It would not allow more than 2 logos to be added on a board with a different title. We actually got this all the way through subcommittee and full committee to finance last year, and COVID got us, but it also went through GovOps a couple of years ago, and it cannot be done by rulemaking. It does need a statute. And DOT is deferred on the bill. This came up when Lieutenant Governor McNally and I had a constituent who had been on a logo board for 15 years, and they got bumped just because another business had moved closer to the interchange, and so they got bumped with nowhere to go, have ended up losing 25% of their business. So all we're trying to do is to prevent that from happening again. If they've been on there for 10 years or more, we're trying to allow them to go to another board if there is one available. And with that, I renew my motion.
Thank you. And Chairman Howell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman, thank you for your tenacity on this.
Oh, thank you.
I think you've been working on this for about 3 years, if
About 3
memory
years,
serves.
yes.
And it shows just how diligent you are to try to solve problems for your constituents. I know that there are now other states who are instituting this rule, and I appreciate the fact that it's narrowly confined to the 10 years. And I think originally there was concerns from the billboard industry, and that's been amended out. And so I'm glad to vote for your bill. Thank you.
And thank you. Yes, and there's no federal prohibition against it, so I wanted to let you know that too. Thank you.
Right, and understand TDOT is neutral on this bill, and again, it will not impact federal highway funding. And I'm just glad to see common sense finally come together with the bureaucracy there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, without objection, we are voting on House Bill 544. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 544 moves on to full transportation, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Okay, next up, moving right along, we are item number 7. Chairman Hastings, you're recognized on House Bill 644. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Chairman Hastings, sir, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is brought to me by the Perry County.
Is it on your microphone? Okay. Okay. Try that.
Is that working? Thank you. The Perry County Commissioners and County Mayor brought this to me to carry, and this bill authorizes all-terrain and off-highway vehicle operation on state routes, municipal streets, and county roads within the jurisdiction of Perry County. And with that, I'll be glad to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? I understand safety would like to testify on this bill without objection. We're going out of session. Ma'am, would you state your name and your organization, please, for the record?
This one's still on, so luckily that's helpful. Elizabeth Stroker, Legislative Director for the Department of Safety, and thank you, Chairman Haston. I know we've had this conversation a few years now on this bill. As written, the department is against it because it does open up the entire county for off-highway vehicle use. That's, any road in the entire county, whether it's through a school, whether it's through a busy area, a commerce area, local area, high-speed area, high accident crash area. And we really prefer that those things be more narrowly tailored to going from one route to another, a trailhead to another, maybe a gas station, and not just opening up for the entire county, because that does create such a large safety concern and risk for crashes and fatalities.
Any questions for the Department of Safety representative? I was just, thank you for your testimony. And traditionally, we like to see this narrowed in scope and input from the Department of Safety instead of the entire county. And committee, just in tradition over the years, without those restrictions, we do have an issue with these. So I appreciate if you take that in consideration as we move forward. Any other questions for the witness? Without objection, we're going back in session. Chairman Hastings, again, like I said, we would like to see more narrow in scope, and maybe go back with your constituents and see if you could come up with another option for us. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I appreciate the Department of Safety help last year. We did pass one last year that started like this and then got narrowed, and we were able to get it passed, and I appreciate that last year. And County Commissioner, the mayor asked me to try again, and I just appreciate y'all giving me a chance to come in and have the discussion.
I'd like to share just a quick story. My wife and I were traveling to all the county courthouses, and we were at a small place in his county, and we ran into him one morning at a small store, and it is a beautiful county, Perry County. So, yes.
I do believe I startled y'all a little bit when I tapped on your window. When usually a 6'9" person taps on somebody's window, they look a little bit like you did for a second, but then you came around quickly, and we had a good
And
chat.
your son was with you.
It was good to have you in town.
It was a pleasure being there. Thank you. Chairman Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Hastings, thank you for the bill, but it is an issue, safety issue, when an entire county is opened up for these type vehicles. And historically, I think 2 or 3 miles is about all this committee has ever considered. But I've found that safety is extremely easy to work with in helping solve these problems. So hopefully you can bring it back next session and we can fix it. Thank you.
Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Hastings, would you be willing to take a friendly amendment to put this bill into the posture it was at last year's, when it passed last year?
Well, I think that we were able to get it through in the posture it was last year, so it's already, I think it's already in code, the limitations that was put in last year. So I think that if we don't do anything, it'll still go back to what it is currently, which is what we were able to pass last year.
I understood it to be that it didn't get passed. I'm sorry.
No, it did.
Okay.
It did get through.
Right. We took good care of them last year. So, okay, any other questions? Okay, we're now voting on House Bill 644. Chairman Hastings, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Aye. Bill fails. Thank you. And I know you represent your district well, but I encourage you to work with safety. We'll see if we can help you out next year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. House Bill 1470 by Representative Ogles, number 8, has been rolled for 1 week. Do we have Representative Manis in the audience? He's presenting it. We'll roll him to the Hill. House Bill 1213 by Representative Miller has been rolled till next week. House number 12, House Bill 1490 by Representative Towns, I understand has been taken off notice. Is that? Yes. It was. No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me make a little statement.
Okay. Would you, yes, you want to take it off notice and make a comment? Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, this bill came up last year. My sheriff brought it, and we had a really good debate on the bill, 1490, and trying to recognize things that we could do to give law enforcement a heads up on someone that may have that challenge of autism or whatever condition. And we talked about it really, really extensively. I think we had some testimony from some of the sheriff guys in my neck of the woods. And so what has happened is that there is another bill that has come through that I'm pretty sure they heard our debate and kind of clipped my bill a little bit. That means stole my bill a little bit. But it's a good bill
And so after talking with the sheriff, he said that allows us to accomplish what we need, and it's good, and there's no need for redundancy, so I'm taking it off notice, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you as well.
Representative Towns. My mistake too, on item number 11, 1287, that's been rolled to next week also by Representative Johnson of Knoxville. Okay, that'll bring us up to House Bill, item 13, House Bill 0127 by Representative Hall. You're recognized, sir. Second. We got a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 127 is for anyone that has been stuck in traffic. It's a very simple, common sense bill. It does have an amendment with the drafting code of 4697.
Do we have a motion and a second on the amendment?
Motion on the amendment.
Okay, House, Amendment 4697 for House Bill 127. All in favor of putting it on the bill, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Amendment 4697 goes on House Bill 127. You recognize again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This gives tow trucks and recovery vehicles the legal authority to use the shoulder of the highway to clean up a wreck once they're called by law enforcement. And I respectfully ask the passage of this bill.
I think it's a great idea and much needed. It's a common sense bill too, sir. Do we have any questions from the committee? Comments? Seeing none, we're now, without objection, we're now voting on House Bill 127. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Sir, it moves on to the full committee next week. Listen,
Mr. Chairman.
we're waiting, we're checking with Representative Manis on item number 91360. He's stuck in two committees. Let's give him one moment here and see if we can track him down before. Yes, let's take a 5-minute recess. Without objection?
No, sir.
We're in recess. Okay. We still got a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for committee. I'm sorry I'm running late.
Yeah, Representative Manis was in another committee. Thank you, and thank you. Oh, we're back in session. Thank you. Representative Manis let me know that he was had a conflict with another committee, but thank you for making it. Did your other bill pass?
It did.
Okay, good. So now we're going to take up item number 9, House Bill 1360. Representative Manis, I understand we have an amendment on there. What amendment are you showing?
That amendment is 4789, sir.
That's what we're showing. Do we have a, first of all, we need a motion and a second on the bill. Okay, all in favor on the bill? Okay, now we're on the amendment. Do we have a motion and a second on amendment number 4789? All in favor of placing amendment 4789 on House Bill 1360, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Amendment goes on the bill. Sir, explain your amendment and bill.
Okay, great. Thank you. This bill seeks to change the current amount a county clerk can retain for purposes of mailing new physical license plates from their current rate of $4 to $5. Currently, a county clerk can retain a fee of $4 to pay for handling mail orders of registration license plates. There was an example in Rutherford County where it costs $4.80 to mail each plate. In the past 10 years, I think we all know postage costs have increased about 25%. And this bill only applies to those who request or require a new license plate be mailed to them rather than picking it up at the clerk's office. So it's just an additional fee for convenience. So it's like I said, it's increasing from $4 to $5 only if the license plate is requested to be mailed.
So the clerk is losing 80 cents every time they mail a plate out, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Do we have any questions for the sponsor? We have a motion on the bill. Without objection, we are now voting on House Bill 1360 to send to full transportation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Your bill goes to full transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee. Sorry again for being late.
Do we have a motion for adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you, committee, for your patience today.